Hey everyone! Welcome to today's video. I'm so excited to be working on drawing prompt number 6 in this 300 drawing prompts book. I hope you enjoy the video and let's jump right in. If you're new to this series on my channel, I'm going through and completing the remaining prompts in this book that I've had for years. In the past, I completed quite a few of them, but in this series, I'm challenging myself to put in more effort and incorporate more materials for each prompt. If you also have this book or a similar one that's incomplete, I hope this encourages you and inspires you to pick it up again and try to complete some more prompts as well. Anyway, on to the video. Today's prompt is to draw a sugar skull. For my materials, I went ahead and sketched out the drawing beforehand with pencil. Then I took my Sakura Pigma Micron in the 01 size to outline the drawing. For the colors, I'll be using my Prismacolor colored pencils. Originally, when I first saw this prompt, I was planning to draw a typical sugar skull design. But after some more brainstorming about it, I decided to do something a little different. The first time I ever discovered what a sugar skull was when I was probably in 8th or 9th grade. At the time, I was really interested in makeup, thanks to a beauty YouTuber named Michelle Phan. She did a makeup look where she designed a sugar skull on her face. At the time, I had never seen anything like that, and I thought it was such an interesting and creative look. I recreated it so many times on my face in real life. I loved it that much. I was so inspired by her video. Fast forward to senior year of high school, she uploaded a new version of a sugar skull makeup look, which is what this drawing is inspired from. I was absolutely blown away when I saw this video. She looked absolutely stunning, and I fell in love with the mysterious and elegant colors in this new rendition. I had to try it out myself, and at this point, I only had an iPod Touch and the camera was horrible quality, but here's a terrible quality photo of me attempting this makeup look. Needless to say, over 10 years later, I still look back at her videos with such fondness, and she was always such a huge inspiration to me, not only for makeup, but for art. And she continues to inspire me, like for today's piece. Now, this isn't an exact replica of her look in terms of the flower crown and the designs on her face, along with her colors, but it was heavily inspired by that look nonetheless. I think one of the things that made this look so beautiful was her use of complementary colors. The orange and blue contrast so beautifully on top of the white hair and black hollows of the eye sockets. When brainstorming for this piece, I knew that I wanted to use colored pencils for the ability to create smooth blends. For each element on the flower crown, I used 3 different shades to incorporate a shadow, a midtone, and a highlight. I feel like this gave each piece a slightly more realistic touch and offered more depth. For the technique, I started with the darkest shade and added the most concentration where the shadows should be. Then I gradually tapered off the color as I moved away from the shadow. Adding a light layer of each color will help you to achieve a more seamless blend when you add the next color on top. Next, I take the mid-tone shade and overlap the previous shade and bring that color out to enhance the transition from dark to light. Lastly, I finish with the lightest shade and blend right along the edge of the mid-tone shade to create a gradient. If you want to make it more realistic and intricate, you can always add more dark, mid, and/or light tones. For the hair and face, I used a light gray to act as subtle shadows and then blended the rough edges using a white. Other than that, I mainly left those areas blank as sometimes the paper itself can act as a highlight. For the decorations on the face, I drew these randomly and incorporated a variety of colors. In my opinion, I think this worked well as the colors were quite subtle pops here and there and didn't overwhelm the existing color palette. My favorite part of this piece, and the part that I had been waiting for, was adding the black. I felt like up until this point, the drawing was in desperate need of some contrast. Once I started adding the black, the piece was really starting to come together. Another reason I was really looking forward to drawing this prompt is because I personally love drawing people, specifically faces. Granted, I'm quite bad at drawing bodies and I'm pretty terrible at proportions, but for as long as I can remember, I've always loved drawing people. I'd consider it my comfort zone. I've never been really good at drawing animals, nature, or architecture, but I'd often doodle faces, eyes, and hair. That was just something I always did when I'd be bored in class. I'd doodle on my notebooks. As a kid, I also used to make comic books of my friends and I. It was what I was known for and never really questioned it. That is until one day in college when my friend at the time noticed I was doodling another face in my notebook as I normally do. She pointed out why I always draw female faces. It caught me off guard as she said it in a very condescending tone. I told her that I just enjoyed shading and makeup on them, drawing pretty lashes and hair. She raised her brow at me and just said, "Sure." It never got brought up again, and I'm sure it wasn't meant to be a big deal, but that made me feel very self-conscious about drawing for a long time. For a while, I wouldn't doodle faces anymore, fearing that I'd be judged. It got to the point where I just wouldn't even doodle at all anymore. I'm not sure why it impacted me so much at the time, but eventually I realized that there's honestly no problem with it at all, and it shouldn't even matter. It brought me joy and it wasn't hurting anyone, so why should anyone's opinion impact that? So eventually I went back to it and started practicing makeup looks, different hairstyles, improving on my facial expressions and anatomy. I'm definitely by no means an expert, but it was always something I enjoyed drawing and considered myself to be somewhat good at. And I didn't want to let anyone else's opinion stop that. Anyway, sorry about the random rant, but we've already made it to the finished piece. I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you have any future video suggestions. I love hearing from you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!